Hi there, and good afternoon. I'm John.
I'm Zen. And I'm Julie.
We're with C Nation, and you are tuned in to the 50 Days of Cannabis podcast, where we examine the cannabis laws in each of the 50 states.
Oh, hold on, John. You missed one.
I did. The District of Columbia is also included in this. We just thought 50 days sounded a little better than 51. Today we're looking at the cannabis laws in Iowa. The Hawkeye State isn't the worst place for cannabis possessors, but get caught growing or distributing in this fairly conservative Midwestern state, and you could be staring down the barrel of a very long prison sentence. Zen, tell us about possession.
Possession of any amount of cannabis in Iowa is a misdemeanor charge with potential sentencing ranging between 6 months and 2 years.
Oh.
Max fines can cost you between $1,000 and $6,250.
Lame.
If the state decides an offender is a chronic abuser, it can impose mandatory drug rehab as part of its sentencing.
Well,
it is, and it's good they don't say they could enhance that to a felony. It does look like there are no felony possession charges in Iowa. That's a good thing.
Yep.
But
Right. In Iowa, they have a CBD-only law signed in 2014, but there are no dispensaries yet. Those are pending manufacturer licensure for 2 manufacturers. That's supposed to happen December of this year. Dispensary licensure April of 2018, and opening for purchase December of 2018.
so right now it's one of these lame CBD only. Good
But
luck
there's no
finding
way to
it.
get... Yeah.
We won't
Coming
ask you
across
where you
a lot
got
of
it,
those lately.
Lately, well, look, here's one of
Waiting
the
several
reasons
years
why.
for more.
Now, granted, it's a lot of different things, including lazy lawmakers, some of this reefer madness that's just so preposterous. I wish this generation of Americans would just zip it for a minute. But another real cause of this are these island states. We see this a little more in the West because there's more medical and recreational cannabis legal out here, but you get these states that don't want anything to do with it, and they're surrounded north, south, east, and west by states that are doing something about it. It's what leads to this. Lawmakers, we got to do something, and because they just figure people are going across state lines, they're going to get it anyway. We'll do the bare minimum and not worry about it too much until, of course, they feel like they have to worry about it too much, which is usually, you've got 3 grams in your pocket, you must go to prison. So that's a large part of that. I hate these CBD onlys. I hope Iowa gets after it and really starts producing. They've got plenty of space there for industrial hemp. That's good for their economy. That's good for farmers looking for something else to grow. So good for them for at least doing something. But man, do a real thing. Jules, tell us about them growers and sellers.
Well, you just don't want to be him, I can tell you that. The sale or distribution of any amount of cannabis in Iowa is a felony. That's going to give you between 5 and 50 years in prison. So get this, if you involve a minor, that will automatically give you mandatory sentencing of 5 to 25 years. Yeah, mandatory.
5 guaranteed, huh?
Yeah,
Jeez.
5 guaranteed.
Wow.
So don't involve a minor at all. Let's talk about the growers. The cultivation laws in Iowa are informed by its sales and distribution guidelines based on the usable weight of the cannabis plants. So just don't do it in Iowa.
Just don't.
All right, this is where we get real serious.
It is, and Iowa's got interesting laws on their books. So as Zen pointed out, no possession is a felony in Iowa. They're all, you could do some jail time and you could be parted from a fair amount of your cash, but no felony, which is a whole different ball game, in the real world if you are a convicted felon walking around trying to make a living. But their school zone laws are kind of interesting. So for possession, if you're within 1,000 feet of an elementary school, a secondary school, a public park, school bus, etc., stuff we see all the time, they just refer back to their possession penalties, so it's not going to be a felony.
Wow.
They're going to tack on 100 hours of community service to that, and I guess that's pretty fair.
That is pretty fair.
Yeah, we see a lot of states, there's no real charge, there's no criminal charge for just simply being in possession in a school zone. So what's really their charge here? It's the 100 hours of community service. You're going to get a possession charge probably anyway in Iowa. They just don't dogpile it on for, their school zone purposes. Now, distributing and growing, particularly distributing in a school zone, is a whole different story. But I've really researched this, and I'm a little bit confused on this because any conversation of their school zone laws in terms of distribution and cultivation always include the talk of selling to a minor or growing around a minor. If you do that in a school zone, that is a 10-year prison sentence for involving a minor. But there's no talk of adults conducting this business. I mean, granted, you're going to have a distribution charge, you're going to have a cultivation charge, but in terms of that happening in a school zone, there doesn't seem to be any enhancement to that, any more of a charge than what they're going to hang on you anyway. Those are all felonies anyway. You're getting a felony, but it doesn't seem to be added on. But yeah, Jules mentioned this, that if you involve a minor in Iowa in your cannabis trade, law enforcement gets on you, you're screwed. Yep, really. You are seriously screwed. Be an adult.
Yep.
Don't do these things in school zones. There's
kids.
A million freaking acres in Iowa to go do this. Everywhere else, keep minors out of it. For a more comprehensive look at the cannabis laws in Iowa, please visit us at cnation.com and click on the state-by-state link.
Remember, you have rights if you're arrested for any cannabis-related reasons. You have the constitutional right to remain silent until your attorney is present. If you don't have an attorney, ask for one.
Holla!
This is Zen.
And Julie.
And John.
The C Nation, bringing you a snapshot of the cannabis laws in Iowa. Be safe.
Stay informed.
Yeah. What they said. The 50 Days of Cannabis podcast is a copyrighted production of the South American Gold Corporation.
We appreciate your likes and shares on social media.
Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at C Nation Channel.